The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have always been a cornerstone for me as a nerd, but I'm not sure if I've just grown up or if every new version of the Turtles is just getting worse. What's up, Nerdgenic Nation? Superhero nerd Aaron Waller here, and today I want to talk about the state of the TMNT and how they feel like they've largely lost their magic. Now, I grew up in the 90s, so it was the golden era of the Turtles as a comic, a television series, movies, and of course toys. Sure, they were geared more towards kids at the height of their popularity with the cartoon and toys, but the comic and first feature film were much darker, and although a ridiculous premise, more for adults. And as we transition into the 2000s, the Turtles stuck with the kids model because it clearly was the much better, or at least the more profitable path. And there would even be various other attempts, primarily in animation, both on the small screen and the big screen during that time. And even then, I felt like I was still very much on board, even if they weren't as bubbly as some of the 90s stuff that I had grown up with, but they managed to adapt a slightly more mature tone as well as some new stories. Then another television reboot came in 2012. This series was not necessarily for me, but when I did watch it, I never felt like it was trying to talk down to its audience or make it especially kid-friendly despite the change in animation style. They even embraced the past of previous iterations in later seasons, which I quite enjoyed. Then came the big budget reboot films from Michael Bay. Now, I know they aren't everyone's favorite, but there are some traces of a decent movies in both the 2014 and 2016 adaptations. I think it was more of an issue of execution, studio interference, and not really being sure of what it wanted to be, more for kids or longtime fans, that may have been their biggest downfalls. Which brings us to the most recent iterations of the Turtles, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which didn't really appeal to me at all, and now a big screen adaptation, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which is being produced by Seth Rogen. Now, there isn't much known about this particular movie, which is the point of this video, but there have been some images and even a leak of the toys meant for the film that recently surfaced online. And if you want a rant about me talking about toys ruining movies before they're released, leave me a comment down below. I've got quite the bone to pick. But the most recent art and toy leak got me thinking that I know the TMNT are no longer for me as a lifelong fan. They're meant to be for kids, they always have been, which is pretty much exactly what they have been doing for the better part of 30 years, but never has it felt more apparent than in the past 5 or so years. It just doesn't seem like they can quite nail down the Turtles. They're trying to make them in various shapes and sizes, which I can agree with in trying to bring a new look and not just a copy-paste with 4 different colors, but they don't feel like they have any real specialties or identifying qualities like they used to. The TMNT that I grew up loving had a purpose for each turtle. The theme song alone said it all. Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines, Raphael is cool but rude, and Michelangelo is a party dude. And that's exactly what you need from these characters, but the tones of all these newer renditions doesn't quite feel right to that model. And despite people not liking the Bay films, even they kind of tried to bring some of those characteristics in, at least at a base level, and it kind of worked. Now, the best look that we've gotten at the Rogen Turtles is in the toys, but I have to say they look worse than I think that I've ever seen them before. To me, they look just downright goofy, and they literally took the Nickelodeon banner to heart, as most of the style of the Turtles appear to be the early 2000s Nickelodeon, especially with Michelangelo looking like he just walked off of Hey Arnold. And again, I will say I know that this isn't for me. It's for kids, which is clearly the biggest audience for the Turtles. But would it hurt for there to be some segmentation for lifelong fans? And I'm not saying give us guys in rubber suits like back in the day, though I probably wouldn't completely be opposed to that either. But they could give us a more interesting story. For example, take their involvement with Batman in Batman vs. the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Both in the comics and in the animation, it rocked. But they could easily appease all the fans with a grown-up rendition of the Turtles, such as going back to their roots in the comics, or better yet, adapting one of their best stories, The Last Ronin. That book saw 3 of the 4 brothers die and leave 1 to avenge them. This kept us on the edge of our seats for months until we finally got the last Turtles' identity, and would easily make any adult TMNT fan geek out. I mean, imagine an epic, dark, the Batman-style TMNT that actually used their weapons, including the ones with blades, and there were real consequences and ramifications for their actions. How awesome would that be? And even better, who's to say that we can't have both? There have been plenty of Marvel and Star Wars series that have had their places for both being kids, for adults, and even for both. And the Turtles clearly have some staying power, as they've had their place cemented in pop culture for over 30 years, having no less than 5 animated series, 6 films, and countless video games both directly about them and having the Turtles as a cameo character or even DLC. So it's pretty obvious that they aren't going anywhere. I simply just think that with the size of the franchise, it could be done better than it's been done thus far, and some of us adults just want to have a semblance of the Turtles that we used to know and love. Will I still see the Mutant Mayhem movie and likely any other Turtles content that I can get in my lifetime? Of course, but I'm also going to hold out some semblance of hope that we get some rendition that will be in those categories that I mentioned earlier, and not continue to have the Turtles stuck in the same single lane of being just for kids, just to make money for toys. And I know that's a pretty big ask, but I'm just going to continue to dream. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the current state of the TMNT, and now I want to hear from you in the Nerdgenic community. What do you think of the looks of the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem? Are you excited for this new movie? Or would you like to see more variations and takes on the Turtles? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos from me or the rest of the Nerdgenic team. And also be sure to give us a follow across all social media platforms at Nerdgenic. That way you don't miss out on any special news, announcements, or articles at nerdgenic.com. But in the meantime, if you want even more video content from us, check out the video on why Kang is a better villain than Thanos, or check out the video on why the Flash may be creating his own villain. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, we really do appreciate it, and we hope to see you in the next video.